On today's segment, we're talking about real estate investing, but not the traditional ways you may know of. If you've ever thought real estate investing required deep pockets, a perfect credit score, or years of experience, today's episode will change your mind. And joining me today is Hakiim Herring, a savvy investor who built an impressive portfolio using creative deals and hands-on hustle. Let's get into this episode.
Yes.
Hakiim, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, we're so happy to have you because you are a wealth of information. So let's get right to it.
Yes.
Okay.
Go.
All right. And so you've done so much in investing. I'm not even sure where to start. So just go ahead and give us a breakdown of all the forms of investing that you have done.
Sure. I've been in this business over 20 years, right? So 23 and they're still rolling. So I've done some of everything in real estate, especially in the creative real estate investing space. If you name it, I've done it. Everything from wholesaling, fix and flip, Airbnb, subject to owner finance deals, international real estate investing. You name it, we've touched on it over the years.
Which form of investing is your favorite and why?
Oh man, that's a great question. I would say my favorite form of investing is wholesaling. Wholesaling real estate because it gives you the most freedom and flexibility, and it also gives you the easiest entry point to become a real estate investor.
That's true. That's true. What is the most profitable form of investing?
Oh man, that's a great question because wholesaling real estate, believe it or not, it's like one of those spaces where it's not a high risk, but it's a low risk, high reward space. So in doing wholesale real estate investing, you're able to make, great returns. So I would say wholesaling because of the low risk and high returns. Other than that, I would say maybe a new build, new construction from the ground up, because you know your numbers, you know how you're getting into the investment and how you're getting out. That would be the second option.
Okay, great. So people hear the term wholesaling, but most people, the general public, don't really understand what wholesaling means. Do you mind explaining that to our audience?
Oh man, let's break it down in the easiest format. Wholesaling is simply when you identify a property with a motivated seller. Their motivation can range from property in disrepair or an inherited property, individual who's looking to sell fast. You're able to put the property under contract with an agreed offer that's below market value based on the condition and the seller's motivation. Once you actually put that property under contract, your job is to find a buyer, an investor or an end buyer for this particular property. You as the wholesaler, being the middleman, you make a commission, assignment fee, finder's fee based on the difference between what do you have the property under contract versus what you're selling the property for.
Right.
It's that simple.
Right. And you don't need a real estate license to be a wholesaler.
No, you don't need a real estate license to be a wholesaler. So that's why I say it's the best or easiest entry point for a real estate investor. You don't have to have a boatload of money. You don't have to use your credit. You don't have to use a bank. You can actually become a real estate investor and get into wholesaling with, a small amount of investment.
Okay, fantastic. And that was your beginning or your entry into real estate, correct?
No.
Oh, wonderful.
No,
Take it back. What was it?
My entry into real estate was I wanted to, way back many moons ago when I was in college, I wanted to become rich. Exactly. So I started reading a bunch of books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich. A bunch of books led me to real estate. So I actually got into real estate because I wanted to be an investor. So I went to school, got my real estate license. I wanted to learn the business from the inside. So back when I got my license many moons ago, the entry point for me was working with BPOs, those bank-owned properties or foreclosures, and working with investors, being that resource, but for finding those properties to present to the investors. So that was my entry.
That's amazing because I actually got into real estate also because I was interested in investing.
Yeah.
And then I fell into all these wonderful new people that I would meet, building a community,
Sure.
clients. And I said, you know what? I love helping people buy and sell as well.
Exactly. Exactly.
I love it. I love it. So the safest form of investing would probably be, like you said, wholesaling, because there's less less financial
Yes.
risk
Yes.
and high profitability.
Mm-hmm.
What would be the riskiest? And I think I know where you're going.
I would say, believe it or not, fix and flip.
Yep, I knew it.
Believe it or not, fix and flip.
I believe it.
Yeah, fix and flip has over the years have become really sexy. Everyone talks about fix and flip. You can buy a property, put little investment in it and make all of this money, but that's not the 100% truth. When you're doing fix and flip, there's a lot of variables. There's a lot of unforeseen, especially when you get into some of the older properties, some of the historic properties and things of that nature. There are a lot of unforeseens. And if you don't factor in those unforeseens, it can leave you in a very vulnerable position. Another thing that a lot of people don't consider when they're doing fix and flip is your contractors, your GC.
Oh, yes.
Your success
Depends
on the quality and experience of your GC. It can make or break you.
Yes.
So as an investor, unless you're hands on the project, you're totally reliant upon someone else for your investment to be a success.
And for our audience, GC stands for general contractor.
Yes.
So yes, you absolutely want to make sure you hire the best
Exactly.
general contractor.
Exactly.
Quality and timeliness.
Yes. Timeliness is extremely important. When you're dealing with, permitting, when you're dealing with inspections, when you're dealing with your hard money funding, your draws, everything has to be in a timely manner, because if your project extends out, you may miss the window of sale, like your period to sell.
Right.
Then your holding costs becomes longer. Then you factor in your commissions. You got to pay your agent. So when you thought you were going to make $50,000, now it may be 20.
Or if you're lucky,
Exactly.
even.
Exactly.
So we're going to get into financing in just a bit. I want to talk about another form of investing that's become real popular over the years, but in Georgia, had to go through some transitions. Airbnbs.
Okay.
So let's get into Airbnbs. How profitable are they still?
Airbnb is still very profitable. I have some of my investors in my network. That's all they do. They do STRs, those short-term rentals. They rent to insurance companies who look for placement for housing for their insureds. There's several opportunities to still make great money as an Airbnb host, but the market has definitely changed. For my investor group, when everyone was investing here in Atlanta, like Atlanta was really hot, Miami, Houston was really hot, I took our investor group to Punta Cana. We decided to do international Airbnb investing.
Wow, so smart, so smart.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's get into subject to.
Yes.
That's subject TO.
Yes.
That term is becoming a little bit more popular these days. Tell me a little bit more about subject twos.
Subject to it's a great creative investment strategy. Subject to is for those. It's a little bit more for the savvier investors. I wouldn't advise it for a new investor. Understanding a property. So it's a couple of ways to enter a subject to scenario. It's usually when a property doesn't have a lot of equity.
Right.
So the exit strategy, it's not attractive to a traditional investor because there's not a lot of equity in the property. And it's a scenario where maybe it's not enough equity to pay a real estate commission to sell it. So, or maybe a scenario where the property is just in disrepair, where it's not attractive to the investor and they can't put the money into the owners can't put the money into fixing it up. So it's a number of different scenarios that leads you to subject to opportunity. But subject to is simply when you have a property where the seller is interested in selling this property. You as the investor, you come to the table with an agreed upon dollar amount where the seller will actually sign over the ownership of the property. They'll deed the property to the investor for X amount of agreed upon fee. and the actual mortgage remains in the seller's name for an agreed upon time frame. So you as the investor, say for example, if the agreed upon number was $25,000, I would come to the seller with $25,000. We go to the closing table, same process. We pull the title and go to the closing table with the attorney, make sure there's no liens on the title, make sure you're up to date on the mortgage. You got to check your boxes, right? But once you actually get to the point of the closing, the $25,000 is agreed upon fee that you'll pay the seller. He'll title the property over to you, so you actually take ownership of the property, but the mortgage remains in the seller's name. That's the key to the subject to.
That's the key, and that's why I'm very careful with subject tos. Lately, I'm getting investor calls on some of my listings on those, and I'll advise my sellers that's going to be a very, 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 very last option.
Yes.
I mean, it's a great option for the right, customer. I've only done it twice.
Okay.
And one guy was military. Speaking of, not having enough equity in the home,
Yes.
he had to, unfortunately, be called to another, state, and he had only been in there like a year and a half. Literally just built the home, but being that he was military, he had accrued points.
Sure.
So he was able to get another home in the new state. But yeah, subject to is you have to be real careful because the home remained, the mortgage itself remained in his name.
Yeah.
But again, he had military points where he was able to still be able to buy elsewhere. But yeah, you have to be careful with that.
You have to be very careful.
You have to make it very clear when does the name transfer to you, Mr. Investor.
Yes.
We came with a really good agreeable term. And the second one was just an investor who he was an investor himself, just made a terrible deal, first time investor, and ended up needing the subject to. But yeah, it's a very, very, very last option.
Yeah, it's one of those deals where for the seller, it's a last option exit strategy.
Yeah.
For the investor who has some liquidity, some cash, it's a great opportunity for them to acquire portfolio properties so that they can add to their portfolio. But it is a riskier investment strategy for all parties, because you have to make sure that the investor is paying that mortgage or the seller is up to date on that mortgage. Because once you transfer ownership, the responsibility of the mortgage payment, it's up to the investor to stick to the agreed terms, because if he doesn't pay, the owner still,
the owner still loses
on the hook.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The owner's still on the hook.
Yeah. So yeah, have to make it very advantageous for that investor to continue to make those payments or find a good renter. And that's in the beginning.
Exactly.
Now, your down payment, how much are you going to pay for this home to begin with? The initial payment. You got to have some skin in the game.
You got to have some skin in the game. Yeah, the investor has to feel it for sure.
So feel it before he can walk away from it. So
exactly.
We need $50,000, sir, to make this deal happen.
Indeed.
Cash.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I love it. So, on the same thought, beginning investors, what would be your best or biggest advice, or best advice for anyone who wants to get into investment? Whether it's Airbnb, whether it's subject to, whether it's, wholesaling?
Yeah. My biggest advice I would give any new investor is to find a mentor and get involved in investor groups, find a mentor, learn as much as you can, become a sponge of knowledge. We have YouTube University, we have investor groups, we have, a bunch of opportunities. Before you dive in, learn as much as you can, make those connections and develop those relationships, and you'll learn as you go. And as you forge those relationships and those mentorships, you then build up the experience and the courage to step in there to do your first investment deal.
I love that advice. Find a mentor.
Sure.
So important.
Sure.
That's so important, because even the most seasoned investors can, have some shortfalls.
Oh yeah,
some shortcomings. It happens to everybody.
Everyone. This is my thing. And when it comes to real estate investing, if you haven't lost in real estate, you are not in real estate. You earn your stripes, and even the best of the best have taken a loss, so you learn from that. And as a new investor, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You learn from others' mistakes, right? So definitely get the good mentorship who's been there, who's been down the road.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So let's talk about funding for an investment. What are the various or different ways to fund an investment property?
Funding,
project?
yeah, funding a project, you can always use hard money. Hard money is normally the go-to route, but I would always advise.
And because of our audience,
Okay.
hard money.
Yeah. Hard money is it's commercial funding for real estate investment projects. They usually fund the purchase and the renovation cost of an investment based on your credit, based on your experience. You get more favorable terms, but they usually lend 70% of the after repair value or the appraised value of the property. So that's the go-to route for most investors, is utilizing hard money.
And the interest rates are a bit higher than your normal regular
Oh yeah,
funding, of course.
for sure.
Because we're talking, it's a riskier
Or
market.
riskier, yes, indeed.
And what are other forms of investing?
Other forms are
Financing.
financing. You can use private funds. You can use. I always like to.
And private funds can be like, if someone's rich who's got money laying around, and let me loan you money, make some money from the money I've got.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Private.
Private money. That's important to build those relationships with individuals who have, they have some investments, they have some savings, but they may not want to or know how to get out there and do a real estate investment deal. If you come with the opportunity, the private investor may have the funds to lend to you to do the deal, and everyone makes money off the opportunity. So private funding is a great resource. Also pooling investors together in a collaborative effort to each one brings money together for an investment opportunity is a great way to get into a real estate investment opportunity without having to carry the load yourself. So.
I love it. So there are various forms of funding and investment project. And so you've been doing this for a while.
Yes.
What's one of the best lessons you've learned, whether, it's for the good or for the bad, but, we all learn in this industry of ours that we love so much.
For sure. One of the best lessons I've learned in real estate is take your time. A lot of times in real estate investing, especially when you're rolling, you get the bug and you want to just start doing as many projects, as many properties as possible. You're looking for as many opportunities as possible because it's a very lucrative industry. But I always advise investors, and even for myself, sometimes I have to do some reflection and just say, take your time, do a project, get to an exit point, then roll to the next one, then the next one, instead of trying to spread yourself thin. So definitely that's a lesson I learned the hard way, but I would advise everyone to just take your time, do your investment from start to finish, see your way out, make your money, and then rinse and repeat, do it again.
I love it. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you seem to really enjoy what you do. I can tell. So what's your favorite part of being a real estate investor? What do you love most about it?
Yeah. What I love most about real estate investing is the freedom. You're able to make a great living, but it also gives you freedom like you wouldn't believe, especially when you're wholesaling. I love the opportunity of wholesaling and international real estate investing. So, closing deals from while I'm sitting on the beach, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it, So yes, that's what I love most about real estate and being in the real estate investing space is the freedom and being able to live life on your terms.
I love it. Yeah. I think that might be my favorite part as well, being a realtor. Done some investing, but definitely nowhere near as much as you have done. So let's get into the riskiest, as we spoke about earlier, fix and flips.
Yes, indeed.
I think the last fix and flip I did about 4 years ago was successful, but not necessarily a fix and flip because I did live in it for a little bit.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit more about that.
Sure.
Yeah, fix and flips. Best strategies, worst strategies.
Well, I would say fix and flip, best strategy for a new investor, right? Best strategy for a new investor, if you're going to do a fix and flip, look for a cosmetic flip. Look for a opportunity that doesn't need a lot of work. You can go in and do carpet paint, or flooring and paint. You could upgrade the kitchen and bathrooms, maybe do the roof, and you could turn a profit by just doing those things. So you don't want to dive into what we call a total gut job, a total gut job renovation where you're looking at doing everything in the home. So
Hair down.
yeah, or tear down. Yeah, you don't want to jump into those. Yeah. So what I would advise a new investor, yes, definitely do a cosmetic flip. Easy entry, easy out, short term. You can get in that project and then out in 30 days. The riskiest scenario is doing those total gut jobs, and doing a total gut job in a historic neighborhood. That's even more risky because you're dealing with the historic preservation committees and permitting and this and that. So you don't, even though it's very profitable, there's so many risky and unforeseen scenarios that you'll put yourself in, and without experience, you can lose your shirt.
Wow, this is all great information. I really appreciate the time you've spent with us here. We've got to have you back.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we can dig even deeper and find out more about your projects. I'm really curious, what are you working on right now? What projects?
Right now, I'm focused on doing some work over in Punta Cana. So we have our investor group. We're doing several projects over in Punta Cana. We're looking to build a community of investors who own Airbnb, timeshare. We're creating our own timeshare opportunities in Punta Cana. So that's what we're working on now.
Fantastic. And for any of our subscribers who are interested in learning more about everything you've shared with us today, or interested in moving to Punta Cana.
Exactly.
How can we find you?
I'm available everywhere online at Hakiim Herring. HakiimHerring.com is my website. Social media is Hakiim Herring. I like to keep it easy. I'm easy to find.
Let's spell Hakiim for everyone.
Oh yes, Hakiim is spelled with 2 I's.
Right.
So Hakiim Herring, Herring, and you can find me anywhere on social media.
Fantastic.
Yes.
It's perfect, Hakiim. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for watching today's show. And remember to follow our show on this channel by subscribing below. And leave a comment to let me know your best takeaways from today's episode. Please also share this episode with a friend. I love building a community that's always learning, always growing, and always your universe for all things real estate. Until next time, I'm Stella Harris, and I'll see you soon.